The Government of Canada and the Government of Ontario are partnering with Umicore to build an EV battery plant. The project, touted as the first of its kind in North America, will cost $2.7 billion and will create 600 new jobs in Loyalist Township. The full project could make enough battery materials to support the production of more than 800,000 EVs per year and will use all Canadian materials. Let's bring in Ian Lee, Associate Professor at the Sprott School of Business at Carleton University, for some reaction to this. Ian, thanks so much for jumping on with us. What do you make of this announcement? I mean, we knew that this plant was a project that was underway, but didn't know about the involvement by the governments until today, and they're breaking ground today. So sort of a double announcement there.
You're absolutely right, Jacqueline. I think this is a big mistake. It's a big mistake because, to state the obvious, in a decentralized market economy, mixed economy, which Canada is, the United States is, Europe is, it is not the role of government to pick winners and losers. And it certainly is not the role of government to put billions of dollars of taxpayer money to choose winners and losers. This is what they're doing. It is not only from the obvious point of view that they're not skilled, governments are not skilled at picking winners and losers. They're not in the marketplace every day. I mean, this is intro capitalism 101. But the second problem I have is that it's very unfair to all those other companies in Canada. There's 2 million corporations in Canada, according to StatsCan. And so when a government gives money to one corporation, they are not giving money to another corporation. And we believe in the idea of a level playing field. Government creates the overall framework, the rules of the game, and then firms go and compete according to those rules of the game. And then the best firm, the most competitive firm wins. We're upending those rules and trying to buy our way into the supply chain for the auto industry, even though we're not in the top 10 in this industry in the world.
I think some would argue that the United States is, the first to have upended this in the sense that it is putting a lot of money towards these sorts of companies and initiatives to help with the green energy transition. So if you're talking about, leveling the playing field, if they're playing that sort of a level, then what is Canada supposed to do?
Jacqueline, first, I fully acknowledge what you said, and I fully agree with what you said. And I've read this argument many, many times. And the implicit, unstated assumption is, hey, we're equal to the United States. No, we are not. The United States is the largest economy on planet Earth. 25 trillion, which, by the way, is about 25% of world GDP. One country in the world is 25 trillion. That is why it is the economic superpower. And so the idea, and I've heard the Minister of Finance say this and the Minister of Industry say this, that we've got to stand there shoulder to shoulder and compete with the Americans. It's a preposterous assumption that we, with our $2 trillion, $2.5 trillion economy, can stand up and go toe-to-toe in a bidding war with the United States, the most powerful economy in the world. And so I'm not saying, sorry, one more point on the labor, and then we can talk about the other.
Yep.
The payoff, the ROIC on this is terrible. $1 billion to get 600 jobs in a country with 20 million workers employed. And remember, we are looking at labor shortages as far as the eye can see for the next 50 years. These companies that are getting these subsidies are going to go and raid companies that are not getting subsidies to hire their engineers, because this industry uses a lot of engineers. And so they're going to use unfair competition, free money from the government, to go and steal workers from the companies that are not getting subsidized.
Well, and there are multiple companies. I mean, you talked about picking winners and losers. It sounds like there's multiple winners if you wanted to categorize them that way, Ian. Recently, when it comes to EV, being part of the supply chain for EVs in this country, does it have the potential, though, to set Canada up to be, a significant part of the supply chain? Could that potentially be worth it?
I believe that's the vision of the Government of Canada and the Government of Ontario. So this isn't a partisan issue, Liberal government and federally, and Conservative government in Ontario. The belief is that governments can buy their way into the international supply chain, and they can buy their competitiveness. And I've been studying, I teach strategy. I've been teaching for 35 years. And before that, I worked in a bank, lending money to real businesses, mostly small and medium sized. And the idea that governments are really good at this has been contradicted by 200 years of competition when governments try and decide who's going to be up and down. In this instance, Jacqueline, governments are putting in massive amounts, billions of dollars, and the taxpayer is taking the risk and the benefit. So all the risk falls on government if it fails, if they aren't successful, and yet the benefits fall on these privileged, lucky winners of the government lottery ticket of billions of dollars of free money. And so what I'm saying is that, I'm not saying we shouldn't do anything. I mean, there's lots of things we could do. We have critical minerals in this country, and only a handful of countries in the world have critical minerals. We could have said, we're going to carve out a niche using our comparative advantage in mineral wealth instead of taking on the manufacturing giants of the world. We've never been competitive in automobiles. If you go back to the auto pack of the 60s, it's always required massive government intervention. And instead of trying to buy our way in against the biggest countries of the world called EU, Japan, and the US, we could be picking a niche that is extraordinarily critical, which is the critical mineral supply to these companies that we're trying to subsidize and buy our way into.